वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भगवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We saw in the 21st verse, what did we see? Yaha avinashinam nityam ajam avyayam atmanam veda. The one who knows the Atma to be all these things. Don't ask which things because look at your notes from yesterday. Okay? Yeah. So, the one who knows it as not subject to destruction, avinashanam, eternal, always the same, not unchanging, etc., etc. Unborn, unchanging, the one who knows. And what is that? What happens? How can that person kill anybody or be killed? And then I closed yesterday with the story of which Upanishad? Indra. Yes. Indra and who else? Pratartana. Kaushitaki Upanishad. Okay? KK, that's what happened. So, in the Kaushitaki Upanishad, this is, we close with that particular story. And then again, it gives, the story illustrated a few things but left us with more questions than answers. The question is, you see the Jnani waking up. Is waking up an action or not?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? And then you see the Jnani having a hearty breakfast. Is eating an action or not?
Yes.
And then you see the Jnani teaching, writing, talking, walking, all these things are actions. You see the Jnani engaging in action at the same time saying, Aham akarta. I am not doing anything. I am not doing anything at all. And this smacks of a certain hypocrisy because you see them acting, you see them doing things. And then how is it that they are not doing anything at all? And that is, that is to understand this. we have to understand what is being negated for Atma. Kartritvam and Bhoktritvam. Two things are being negated for Atma. Kartritvam means what?
Doership.
Doership. Okay? Yeah. Good that we are all on the same ship. I'm happy. Alright. So, Bhoktritvam means what? Experiencership. The status of being experiencer. The status of being doer. These two are negated for the Atma. The one who knows the Atma is Brahman, is the nature of Atma itself. There is not the knower, known, divide is not being there. Here, both those aspects, the Kartritvam, the doership, and the experiencership are denied, negated for the Jnani, even though the Jnani may be going, coming, eating, drinking, etc., etc., etc. How come? This is a very interesting, it's a very interesting thing. Here we have to discuss, this is something we will revisit again and again, so better to discuss it now, so that even if you forget, some semblance of a memory remains. There are two kinds of negation that we talk about in the Shastra. One in Sanskrit is called Nishedha, negation. Taboo, don't do this, Nishedha, negation. It's there also in some of the commandments, for example. Thou shalt not steal, don't steal. That is a Nishedha. It's there in the Veda also. Certain things are there, injunctions, and those are called vidhi. But here we are talking of the opposite of the injunctions, negations called Nishedha. That just negates. Like for a brahmachari, marriage is not allowed. Nishedha. This is there. So this is like literal negation. A literal negation. And then there is another kind of a negation. And as though negation, because we have in Vedanta, we specialize in, we have invented a PhD degree in as though. Okay? And so we specialize in as though. So here, this kind of a negation is called Badha. Badha. So Badha, a kind of a negation that is more of a sublation. In other words, it's a cognitive negation, not a real negation. A negation through cognition. A classic example is what? Sunset. When you say sunset, it is badhita. Badhita means what? It is negated. There is no sun that is about to set. And that we know. So it is, but still we use the word sunset. We enjoy the sunset. That which is called sunset, we keep taking photos of the sunset. So that means what? We are negating it cognitively. Because really it cannot be negated. Alright. Then, if really all action was negated for the Jnani would not even get out of bed. Lazy Jnani, one would be. But then even lying in bed is an action. Okay, the Jnani would sit quietly. Sitting quietly is an action. Everything is an action. So, cognitively the person has understood, I am free of all actions. That is what is called Badha. That is where the person is called Akarta, Abhokta. A story, a very famous story is told. I'm not sure of the characters, but basically, I think Krishna and his guru or something like that. One person is Lord Krishna, that much I know. So Lord Krishna was on the banks of a river, and then all the Gopikas went. They went to him, they had a wonderful time, and they sang songs and everything, danced. And then it was time for the milkmaids to go home. The river Yamuna was in state. Terrible floods. They said, oh my God, how can we go? And then Krishna said to them, they went to Krishna and said, please give us a mantra by which this river will abate. The tides will just go down and then we can go back. And Krishna said, no problem, I'll give you a mantra. Go to Mother Yamuna, the river, and say, if Krishna is a Nitya Brahmachari, Nitya Brahmachari means hasn't even looked at a woman, then may the river part. And the Gopika said, this is a lie. You know, you were just pulling my cheek, you were pulling my hair, you were flirting with me, you were whispering sweet nothings to me. How can you say that you haven't even looked at a woman? This is a lie. And Krishna shrugged his shoulders and said, all right, you can stay here, I don't mind at all. Stay here all night, don't go. No, we need to go. Okay, try the mantra. Very half-heartedly they tried the mantra, and what happened? Miraculously the river calmed down, it parted, and then they could go. Then the story goes that they went to the other bank where Rishi Sandipani was sitting, and then Rishi Sandipani, they gave him some food to eat. He was a foodie, he loved to eat, and he had a very big meal, and then again the river was in spate. They again asked him for a mantra to cross the river, and what did he say? If he hasn't eaten a single morsel of food, may the river part. And they again rolled their eyes, okay, not again. Again this is happening to us. And so half-heartedly they chanted the mantra, and the river parted and calmed down and parted so that they could cross. So this is what is called Badha. So the Jnani's Kartrutvam, the doership, the experiencership of the person who has Atma Jnanam is a sublated knowledge, is a sublated negation. Everything the Jnani does is as though, because the knowledge I am not a doer is already there. Doing happens. Doing happens, and the person is in tandem with Ishvara's laws, and so is the manifestation of those laws, because that person doesn't have any single-handed agenda for doing something. Single-minded agenda for doing something is not there. I want this as a result of my action is not there at all. And so therefore what? Therefore, this is the teaching is exactly this, that this is the second kind of negation called Badha, not the first kind which is called Nishedha. Okay, now this we wanted to clarify before going forward, and going forward we will now. Very nice verse, famous verse, verse number 22. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinhati naroparani yatha sharirani vihaya jirnani Anyani sayyati navani dehi Nainam chindanti shastrani Nainam dahati pavakaha Najainam kledayantyaapaha Nashoshayati marutaha Achedyo yamadahyoyam I'm not hearing the ha. Achedyo yamadahyoyam Akledyo shoshya evacha नित्यः सर्वगतस्थाणुः अचलोऽयं सनातनः अव्यक्तोऽयमचिन्त्योऽयम् अविकार्योऽयमुच्यते तस्मादेवं विदित्वैनं नानुशोचितुमर्हसि अथ चैनं नित्यजातं नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतम् तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युः ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थे त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि अव्यक्तादीनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तनिधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना. This whole from 22 to 28 constitutes one particular section that's going to be concluded in 29. Okay, actually in 30. So here we have verse number 22 that gives a very nice example which is easily assimilable. And what is that example? Like the person changing clothes. Yatha narah जीर्णानि वासांसि विहाय अन्यानि अपराणि गृह्णाति तथा शरीराणि विहाय नवानि अन्यानि गृह्णाति देहि. So, yatha, just as, what? Jeernani vasamsi, torn clothes, old clothes. Zr to age, jeerna, aged clothes. Old clothes, torn clothes, clothes that as soon as you put them on you hear the tears continuing, where the cloth has become so tired and weak. So nobody keeps wearing them. It's an excuse to buy something new. So what does one do? Vihaya, throwing it away. Ha, to abandoning it, throwing it away. What does the person do? Anyani, other clothes, navani, new ones, grinhati. Aparani, other ones, grinhati. Takes on new clothes. So it could be dirty, it could be old, anyhow it is no longer functional. It is threadbare. And that is what you remove and wear new clothes. In the same way, tatha, sharirani vihaya jeernani, casting off the bodies, anyani gridhnati navani dehi, the dehin, the indweller of this body, takes on new bodies in the same manner. What a lovely example. So easy. But then again needs, even though it's self-explanatory, it needs to be discussed a little more. Little more discussion, little more this thing is needed, understanding is needed. So obviously, taking off old clothes and wearing new clothes, and taking off old bodies and taking on new bodies is not on the same continuum at all. There are many differences. First difference is your own volition. Free will is there, correct? In going to the market, buying new clothes and noticing that this one is torn and you need to replace, and then in the asking of oneself that this is jirna and I have to throw this away, there is free will. One assesses, and in that assessment, the free will is very much there. And then what happens as a result? Then you operate the free will, you make a decision, and you are the one in charge. You decide to throw off these clothes and then gain new clothes. Is this the same in the bodies? No, not at all. This is the first difference. Looks like Bhagavan, karma, which is Bhagavan, is the one that is deciding. You are not deciding at all. Where is your decision? In fact, who wants to die? Raise your hands. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. And forget now, with proper bodies, etc., even the person in the hospital bed with half of the sense organs not functioning still has the will to survive. And if such a person who is already half gone is offered a lifeline by the doctor, is offered some kind of a nice lifeline. There is a new drug. It is very risky. It has some side effect. Would you want to try it? Yeah, the person will say. So this is a very big difference. It's almost like Lord Yama has to kick the Dehi out of the body. Nobody has to take the Dehi out of the Deha. Dehi means the indweller, kicking, screaming, crying. Nobody is ready to come out. That's the second difference. So first difference is what? Free will in buying clothes and changing the clothes. No free will. Second difference, there is happiness when you throw away the old clothes and buy new ones. Even if you are really attached to a t-shirt, you may be sad letting it go. But generally, one is happy. Oh, I got something new. That is the difference. And whereas, when we talk about Dehi, there is what? There is sorrow in leaving the body. Why is there sorrow? There is sorrow because there is sorrow. Why? Primarily because there is no choice here. There is sorrow because one is attached to the decrepit, dying, non-functional body. These are the two differences. Why, this example, even though it looks good on paper, but when you start thinking about it, it's easier said than done. You can't just give this as an advice and go away without further discussion. Further discussion is needed because how can you just say it is just as easy as casting off the clothes? It doesn't seem to be that easy, and that is why we are discussing it a little more. Because here, this verse is not meant as an advice. Why don't you consider doing this? Why don't you see that Drona, Bhishma and all are just changing their dhotis in the battlefield after getting hit with an arrow? This is not what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Lord Krishna is pointing out a fact. What we are talking about now is one's own feelings of attachment, one's own feelings of connection, one's own feelings of not being in charge, etc., that causes sorrow. What Lord Krishna is pointing out are not the feelings but facts. What is the fact? It is a fact that one is keeping on taking bodies. One is booted out of this body whether one likes it or not. It's a fact. And if one does not have Atma Jnana, new bodies are taken on. That is also a fact. And therefore, if you don't accept the fact, then your feelings will come in the way as they already are, Arjuna, and then you will be keeping on crying, keeping on not fighting, and keeping on crying over things that should not be cried over. Because this is a fact. Just like in lifetime, how many sets of clothes you have worn? How many things one has lost count? Either because it doesn't fit anymore, you have to throw it away or give it to somebody else, or because it is torn, you have to give it away to somebody else. How many clothes one has lost count? And similarly, there is no count of how many bodies this Atma has, as it were, the indweller, or you can take Jiva. This Jiva has kept on taking over and over and over again. And another objection can be raised in the sense that you can say, oh, old bodies. That's why if a 98-year-old dies, then most people are relieved. People are relieved, you know why? Because they say, this is a relief for this person. How they were not able to walk, talk, eat, drink, nothing. Quality of life was affected at 98. Heart was weak, kidneys were non-existent, and all these things were difficult. Liver was failing, so it's a relief. They are freed of this body. But that's not all who dies. Sometimes a 5-year-old gone because of leukemia. Sometimes, 50-year-old gone for heart attack, no reason at all. 25-year-old gone, everybody is distraught, the parents cannot get over this. During their whole lifetime, it is very, very difficult to understand this. So then, here we have to bring in a few things to assimilate this example. And what do we need to bring in? We need to bring in the understanding that Jirna does not mean old and tired from my perspective, but from Bhagavan's perspective, karmically speaking, from the standpoint of karma. Old from the standpoint of karma, tired from the standpoint of karma. So 5-year-old child succumbing to leukemia or some brain tumor or some freak accident is because for that child this body was done. That much only the prarabdha was, and so therefore at that young age this another body needed to be taken. This is what we have to understand. Further, he says, then the nature of the Atma is given in the next 3 verses. Na enam chindanti shastrani. Weapons do not cut this Atma. Not subject to weapons. Na enam dahati pavakaha. Fire cannot burn this Atma. Na cha enam further kledayanti apaha. Atma is not subject to water damage, mold, mildew, etc. Water damage. Na shoshayati marutaha. Neither can the wind dry out the Atma. This is kind of a relief. Yeah. So Atma cannot die by stabbing, by arson, by burning, or by drowning, or by dehydration. All these things are negated for the Atma using our wonderful Vedic five element model that we have seen so elaborately in the Tattva Bodha. We have seen everything very, very elaborately. And the five elements are there. And what is this body made up of? Five elements. What is the mind made up of? Five elements. And what is the organs of sense organs? Five elements. Organs of action? Five elements. Subtle body? Five elements. Everything there is five elements. And the Shastras. Shastras means that which you hold in the hand and fight. Astras means that which you throw. From us to throw. We have already seen this in the first chapter. So, this Shastra, na edam chindanti. Chindanti means cut. Chid, to cut. Cannot cut. Weapons cannot cut this Atma. So, if somebody comes rushing at somebody else with a sword, what can they do? They can cut off the hands, they can drive the sword through the heart or whatever. Because the sword belongs to the same order of the reality as the body. The body, product of five elements. What is the sword? Hello? Five elements. It is from the earth. You have mined it from the earth. So one thing that is coming out of the five elements and another thing that is also coming upon of the five elements, those two can kill each other, can affect one another. In one scenario, one is stabbed, and then in another scenario, one strong person bends the sword and then throws it, and bends the hand of the attacker too. That could be another thing. So still, it's the five element versus five element. So sword is Upalakshana for the earth element. And then fire, Upalakshana for fire only. Fire is directly mentioned. Fire cannot burn the Atma. Where are you going to light it? Okay, let's say I want to burn the Atma. Where am I going to light the fire? First of all, where is Atma? Where is it? It's not an object, it's not located in one place. No, all over. So can I set the whole Jagat on fire and hope that Atma will be affected? Not possible. And even if somebody were to do that, it will not affect the eye. Why? Again, same logic. Because it belongs to Satyam and fire belongs to the order of reality called Nitya. Nitya. That is what it is. So, Mithya fire cannot destroy Satya Atma. Just like if your shadow, looked very scary, cannot destroy you. Or you looked at the face in the mirror and the face looked a horrible, terrible expression. The reflection had a terrible expression because you were pulling a terrible face. That's why it was looking back at you. But the reflected face cannot do anything because it is not, you belong to a different order of reality. You are in fact casting the reflection. This sometimes the dogs do not know and the pet cats also do not know. You put them in front of the mirror and they start barking. They think that it is another dog. And they are surprised. They stop to take a breath. The other dog also stops barking. And then they start barking again. Yes, still the other dog is barking. But humans know better. Dogs don't know this. They don't have very good vision. And so they don't understand this. But the human beings understand this. That if I am hungry and I am standing in front of the mirror, and if I take the food with a spoon and feed the reflected face in the mirror, my hunger is not going to be quenched. My thirst, my hunger, I have to eat, I have to drink, and the reflected face, the face in the reflection is something that is mithya vis-a-vis this example. So here also, mithya elements cannot affect the Satya Atma for two reasons. One is because Atma is the cause of the elements. Atma is the cause of the elements. तस्माद्वा एतस्मात् आत्मन आकाशः सम्भूतः. Taittiriya Upanishad will say that. So, Atma is the cause. Effect is not separate from the cause, but the cause does not succumb to the effect. This we have studied. And the second reason is because that the effect is mithya and the cause being satyam. The mithya cannot affect satyam in any way. So therefore, there is no then also nainam dahati pavakah. Na chainam kledayanti apaha. You cannot drown the Atma, hold its head under water, glug, 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 glug. Nothing. No such thing will happen because Atma is not dependent upon air to breathe. Atma is not dependent upon prana. Atma is not an entity. Atma is not an individual. You can't first, in order to drown the Atma, you have to go catch the Atma. Catcher is Atma. Where are you going to catch the Atma? It's like a dog chasing its tail. You will have to try to run and catch yourself. But what will you catch? If you catch yourself, you will catch the body. You will not catch Atma. So, nashoshayati marutaha. Everything else, the air can dry out. Again, why? The air, water, fire, earth and space are all causes of other things in the universe, such as the body, such as so many other things in the universe. And so therefore, they can affect those things. They cannot affect the I. Atma cannot be affected by any one of them. So, and even if we take space, can you cut space with a sword? No. Even among the five elements, the space stands out. Space cannot be cut. Space is not existent in one place. It is all pervasive. Just like the Atma, space cannot be cut, space cannot be drowned, space cannot be polluted like air. Nothing can be done with space. So what to talk about? Satya Atma. And so then further it says, it puts this in perspective. And therefore what the nature of the Atma is achedyaha. That which cannot be cut is the Atma. It's a repetition but in a different way. Then ayam achedyaha, ayam adahyaha. Unburnable is the Atma. You can burn the body, but you cannot burn the Atma. Akledyaha, undrownable is the Atma. Ashoshyaha, not dehydratable is the Atma. The air can dry out everything except Atma. The fire can burn everything except Atma. So then why is this being said? How come Atma is free of being burnt and all these things? How is this possible? That is because it is Nityaha. Vayu, Akasha, Agni, Prithvi, the five elements, etc. are what? Anitya. They were a time, they were not, now they are there, and when the Jagat resolves, there will be a time where they are not. So what is constant? Atma. Nitya. That's why it cannot be killed by any of these elements. Sarvagataha. Sarvagataha means all pervasive. That which is all pervasive you cannot set on fire, as was pointed out earlier. And then Sthanuhu. Sthanuhu means never moving in the same place. Oh, but isn't that a contradiction? Sarvagataha, all pervasive, and then unmoving. How can it be all pervasive and unmoving at the same time? Because that is how the Atma is. Sadhu means unchanging, not going or coming anywhere, but whose presence is in all things that are worth being called a thing. That is why Sarvagataha, Achalaha, unmoving, Sanatanaha, ancient, everlasting, never moving. never going away anywhere. And then the same thing is expressed slightly differently in the next verse. Let us look. Avyaktaha. Avyaktaha means unmanifest. All the five elements are what? Vyaktaha. Atma is avyaktaha. Unmanifest means not available for transaction. Avyaktaha. The body, vyakta. Atma, invisible, not visible, not available for transaction of any kind at all. Achintyaha, not objectifiable. I'm going fast because we have seen all this in detail. Not objectifiable. What is the color of Atma? No color. What is the size of Atma? No size. Every size is Atma, Atma is no particular size. Every color is not outside of Atma, but Atma is free of all colors. Achintya, you can't think about it as you think about ice cream. You can't think about Atma in the same way. Then, Achintyoyam avikaryaha. Avikaryaha means not subject to the 6 vikara modifications. Yesterday we already revised them. What are they, right? Do we need to revise them again? No. Okay. He said no even if you want to say yes. Alright. Yeah. So, avikaryaha ayam uchyate. So, then here is the new refrain for the next 4 verses. Tasmad evam. Tasmad, therefore, evam viditva. Knowing the Atma in this manner, na anushochitum arhasi. You do not deserve to grieve. Why? Nothing is happening to the Atma. Why are you grieving? Oh, Drona is going to die. Oh, is the Atma going to die? No. This one, Duryodhana is going to die. Is Atma going to die? No. So, from the standpoint of Atma, you need not grieve. Why? Because there is no death for the Atma, there is no killing for the Atma, there is no, like if you throw some fiery astra, the body will burn. Atma is not going anywhere, it is Thanu, it is Sanatana, it is not an object, it is Avyakta, it is not possible to do anything to the Atma. So from the standpoint of the Atma, Atma cannot be a source of sorrow. So therefore, Natvam Shochitum Arhasi. You are crying over something that need not be cried over, Arjuna. And there is no need for grief because the Atma is not going anywhere. Why do you keep crying? This is what he says in the next 3 verses. Then he gives an example. He says, not an example, he tries another tactic. Maybe Arjuna was looking unconvinced and so he tries another tactic. What is the tactic? He says, Adha, okay, you say, I don't know Atma and I am not happy with these jivas going. I am not concerned about Atma because who knows Atma? Nobody knows. Like you yourself said, it is avyakta, achintya, it is not objectifiable. So who cares if the Atma is there or not? I am more concerned about the jiva that Drona is, the jiva that Bhishma is, the jiva that all these people are, Kripacharya, all these acharyas, they are jivas. So the jiva should not go. So therefore, my grief is not centered on Atma. Nothing happens to the Atma. Okay, I'll take your word for it. My grief is centered on Anatma, Jiva, from the Jiva standpoint. Adha cha enam nitya jatam manyase. Okay, let's say that you think if you say that they are Jivas, then what are Jivas doing? They are constantly being born. Being born, being born, being born. And after that, what are they busy doing? Being gone, being gone, being gone. God is God. This is the Jiva's biography. That's what it is. Autobiography of a bhogi. This is the Jiva's plot. First chapter, why me? Alright. Yeah. And last chapter, to be continued. Never comes to an end. Never comes to an end. And so therefore, this Jiva is gone. And then after that, he is gone. Then after that, he is gone. One life as a rock. Another life as a scorpion. Third life, crab. Fourth life, jellyfish. You know jellyfish? No. Like this, like this, like this. You can see what it has eaten, you can see its intestines, you can see the whole thing. Why would somebody be born as a jellyfish? Was not very transparent in their life. And so this is one of the karma phalas perhaps. And so like this, so many life forms are there. And jellyfish, then deep sea creature, and then human being. And then didn't go for Vedanta in the human life, that got wasted. And so next life dog, next life cat, next life dog again. Like this, so many things. Water buffalo, and then what? The person wanted to go some kind of a thing, bungee cord jumping. You know, you just go like this, like this, like this. So next life, spider. Jump with your own little bungee cord, you keep jumping, have fun. Whole life it's going up and down. And so like this, the Jiva is always being born and always dying. Do you cry for things that are always dying? No. Like the fruit peels are dying. That's why they are called peels, because they are not very appealing. Okay? And so they are always dying. And then you fill up the garbage. Then you have to take the bag of garbage, of course, quickly looking for monkeys on the left and right. Then you are taking the garbage. Are you crying because the fruit is dying? No, because you know this is the nature of the fruit. And same thing, the fresh flowers that we all enjoy today outside in the Rangoli, beautiful, very nice, all decorated for Guru Purnima. If we leave the Rangoli there for 3-4 days, what will happen? It will all shrivel up. The mango leaves will shrivel up. And the rose petals will shrivel up. The color will change. And then before they were occupying this much space, they will all become dehydrated, shoshayati marutaha, and then what? They will look very funny, and the blowing wind will take it this way, that way. It will not look beautiful at all. Still there is no grief because we expect that. We expect that this is what is going to happen. So Lord Krishna tries another tactic to convince Arjuna. Okay, don't think don't worry about Atma because you are not there yet. All right. Athacha enam nitya jatam manyase. Enam means these Duryodhana, etc., these jivas. You think this jiva is constantly being born. Manyaseva nityam mritam. Or you think of them as dying constantly. Tathapitvam mahabaho. Even then, oh you mighty armed one, you don't deserve to grieve. You may be mighty armed in the battle, but you're all puss when it comes to objectively looking at your life. And those of the people surrounding you, you have no objectivity here. You're all mixed up. You have become deluded in your misplaced grief. Okay, Atma is not the source of grief, but you can say, you may think Anatma in the form of all these bodies are a source of grief. You can say, I am attached to Dronacharya's body. I am attached to Bhishma's body. You can say that. But what is the nature of body? To come and go. That happens to everybody, pun intended. Okay? Everybody comes, everybody goes. And then so how long are you going to sit and cry over that which is a universal fact? And also, it's not just that it may happen in the battlefield and it will be all your fault, etc., etc. You could die, Arjuna, right now of a heart attack. You could just go. And the Bhishma and Drona could continue. Maybe they'll have some injuries and maybe they'll continue for as long as their life is there. Prarabdha karma. As long as their karma is there, they may continue. So what are you talking about? Why are you grieving? Why are you grieving over that which could happen anytime? It's not really connected to the war. By connecting it to the war, again you are sinking into a subjective state and you do not need to grieve over that. So whether they are always born or they are always dying, you need not grieve. Why? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. Dhruva means certain. For that which is born, death is certain. Anything subject to birth is subject to what? Death. Definitely. Anything subject to death is subject to birth. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha, from the standpoint of the jivas. So jiva that has died is subject to rebirth. So your precious Drona, Bhishma, etc., they are just taking on new bodies, new forms. You may not be recognizing them, that's a different thing. But still, they are not going anywhere. Apariharya arthe. Arthe means for this reason. Apariharya arthe, apariharyarthe. Apariharyarthe means apariharye arthe, meaning it is not, apariharya means what? Na pariharya, that which cannot be helped. This is a law of nature. There is no solution for death. We saw that yesterday in that young mother with a dead child story of the Buddha. We saw that. There is no solution because it is a law of life. It is totally a law of life. There is absolutely no solution for death and there is absolutely no solution for birth. Birth is because death is, death is because birth is. So this life and everything has a life cycle. Cats, dogs, smaller life cycle. That's why they say, what is that, 7 dog years, no 7 human years, 1 dog year. They say like that because dogs have a short life. And then if you take other insects, they have a shorter life still compared to human beings. Very short. And so in this life, what is there, between, like if you go to a graveyard, the year of birth and a dash and year of death is mentioned. In between all the accomplishments, 3 marriages and 4 children and so many other things the person loved and the person did. It's just a dash from the womb to the tomb. This is life. Life is a journey from the womb to the tomb and then back again to the womb. Yeah, from the womb to the tomb one goes. And then it's a flicker, it just goes like this. You think, I have a big life ahead of me. I will live because in my family there are great genes, life genes, long life, longevity genes. I will live to 92 minimum. But 92 years is nothing. Nothing at all. 92 years is absolutely zero. Nothing at all. From the lifespan of Lord Brahmaji, 92 years is nothing. It says that the current Brahmaji reigning is 50 Brahma years old. Not to be confused with Brahman, okay, that's different. That's why I say Brahmaji. And so, by the time he wakes up and stretches in the morning and has a cup of tea with Goddess Saraswati, and and then he need not read the newspaper because he is the creator, he knows what all is happening everywhere. And then they just have some tea, and then they take a morning constitutional walk and come back. 1,000 yugas. The same Bhagavad Gita is going to tell us in the 8th chapter, Yuga Sahasra. 1,000 yugas have come and gone. So what is 92 years? Nothing. So this concept of time, etc., is, sometimes it speeds up, sometimes it slows down, it is relative. And so whatever is born is subject to death, whatever is dead is subject to birth. Therefore, this cannot be helped. This is a fact of life. So why are you sitting in the chariot and crying? In other words, get up and fight. Okay? Then he gives another way to look at this situation. Let us read that. Avyakta adini bhutani. All beings in the beginning, adini, in the beginning, are what? Avyakta, unmanifest, is the person before birth. You can't see them, you can't talk to them, you don't know where they are. Have they gone to Swarga? Have they gone to heaven? Or have they gone to another place? We don't know. Which loka they are, what they are doing, are they in another body? We don't know. Avyakta. Then in the middle of the life they are what? Vyakta. So 0 to 92 years they are Vyakta. Then they die. After death, Avyakta again after death. This is the cycle of life. Avyakta, Vyakta, Avyakta. So right now, what are we? Vyakta. Yes. If you say Avyakta, that would be false. Because if you were really Avyakta, you could not say Avyakta. So, Avyakta Adini. Before coming into being, they are there in an unmanifest form. It's not that they were not there. They are there in an unmanifest form. And then manifest. And then unmanifest again. They go to a place of state of demanifestation for the naked eye. They may be in some other loka. So they go to a state of demanifestation, or we can take when the Jagat is created, is manifest by Bhagavan, all the beings come to a state of manifestation and they go back to a state of demanifestation. They become one with Bhagavan at the time of Pralaya, the great dissolution. That way also we can take. Either way, Tatra ka paridevana, and some texts will have parivedana, both are acceptable. Tatra ka paridevana, where is this grief coming from? So, avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. What kind of a grief is it? Meaning, why should there be any grief? If this is a law and if it is not changeable and this is exactly how it goes, what is the use of grief? Is anything going to change? No. So therefore what? Get up, get your wits about yourself, pick up the bow and fight. No, but I want self-knowledge. And we'll see in the next section that Lord Krishna does not think he is directly ready for self-knowledge. It's not that he doesn't think that he is not ready for self-knowledge at all. That would not be correct because he is teaching him. Right now he is teaching him. So it's not that he is not getting self-knowledge. But to go on, take a lifestyle of just jnana, he is not ready. And so therefore he teaches about how to live with this world, gain this knowledge and do your karma. Because if you are not ready for jnana marga, if you are not ready to give up everything and take to a life of sannyasa or sannyasi-like life, you better continue to do what you are doing. Because otherwise one would become what is called ubhaya bhrashta, neither here nor there, like the dog of the washerman. Dhobi's dog. The washerman and washerwoman, they are very busy people. They work long hours. They have a dog that trots around with them, goes wherever they go. And they go to the Ganga Ghat to bank and wash the clothes. And they dry it there. And then after that they have to take it off the stones or wherever they have dried it. Rocks and every place, or they have hung it somewhere. Then they have to iron it if the customer requests it. The dog is still there. And then they have to fold it up and deliver it to various people. And by the time they go home, it is late. So the dog shows itself off and says, "Woof, woof, woof, this whole ghat belongs to me." And the other dogs say, "You are new here. Your people are just coming and going. You don't belong here. Choo, get lost." And they bark it out of existence. Night falls. And then the washer couple goes to their house, and then the dog says, "Okay, let me practice a nice few barks and growls. Here is their home, here is where they belong." But the dog is hardly there. The other dogs don't recognize it, and they chase it out and bark it out of the neighborhood. So like that one becomes. If one is not ready for Kevala Jnanam, for studying all the time, and then if one is not ready for that, one must not give up whatever one is doing. This is why Arjuna is repeatedly going to be asked to get ready to fight. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.